Hi everyone, welcome back to Mama Genius Hub podcast. I'm so excited for our next guest. I was saying new guest because she's a newbie to being a guest, but we're going to welcome her onto the podcast. And because we're doing it, we're talking about self-care. Moms, are you just tired? You're not sure what to do anymore. You feel spent. You feel like you don't not even yourself anymore. Andrea is going to help us figure out how to do that. Even before we got on this podcast, we were doing breathing together. It's so necessary. We're going to get started right after this. Welcome to Mama Genius Hub podcast, where we support moms with big dreams from entrepreneurship to personal aspirations. I'm your host, Michelle Kaiser, and I'm here to help you unlock your potential in all areas of life. Join us as we explore strategies for thriving in motherhood while pursuing the dreams, the key to actually unlocking your genius. Subscribe now and embark on a journey to realize your fullest potential. Andrea Floyd is a nurse practitioner who acquired an MBA. She's a mother, transformational coach, speaker, and writer. She's collaborated with Hamilton Region Indian Center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada to assist a published Indigenous mom and baby research to study the unexpected benefits of decolonized knowledge translated initiative for Indigenous mothers participants. My gosh, we're going to get such a wealth of knowledge today. She's also passionate about enabling the voice of marginalized populations and influencing mothers to prioritize self-care and to put that oxygen mask on first. It's not just a saying, let's figure out how we're going to actually do it first so they can show up for their best selves, themselves, their children, and their relationships while positioning themselves for their purpose. That's what we're having on here because she's a perfect person to show us how to do that on the Mama Genius Festival. Welcome to stage, Andrea. So excited to have you here today.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me to your home.
I'm so glad you accepted because I was like, we need to get people out there doing this, getting our voices out there. We need to get that message. And you had such a vital message that I wanted to make sure we got into this because we hear that saying all the time. You got to put your ass in your hand first. It's so much so that it feels like you don't even hear it anymore. And so before we dive all into, what is your why behind wanting to do this?
Well, I always took my self-care for granted. For many years, I took it for granted. Every breath I took, every step I took, every move I made, it was all taken for granted. We have a tendency to see self-care as some sort of an act that is a selfish act. However, self-care is necessary. It's necessary for self-preservation, self-respect, and self-compassion. And so necessary for us to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first so that we can be our best selves, like you said, to show up for others, for our children, and for others in other relationships. And so that is why my passion is about, sharing my story so that I can empower others to step up and choose self-compassion, rise up and choose self-love, and to just wake up and choose self-care. And not just self-care like where it's just, I did some exercise or I drank some water. It's about a holistic approach to self-care. So mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually as well. All of those aspects for the whole self is a part of our self-care journey.
I love that so much, how you dive into the different aspects of self-care. I mean, sometimes you think, it's just going to get your nails done. It's taking time away from the kids. But it's so much more impactful than that. And I love that how you said something, you said it was necessary for preservation. Was it self-compassion and self-love, or did I miss one in there?
Yeah, self-preservation, self-respect.
Self-respect.
So you're respecting your body, respecting yourself. Yes.
I love that so much. I know we're both fans of Lisa Nichols, and I know that you have what we call your story in terms of what she calls the valley. And I'd love for you to share that with us right now because I was so inspired by it.
Okay. So you know what, Michelle, I'm blown away that I, a teen single mom, was able to accomplish a Bachelor of Science in Nursing and a nurse practitioner certificate while I was working as a critical care nurse. I then made some successful investments in real estate, and I acquired my MBA. Those that know, yes, I acquired my MBA. I just loved taking care of people, saving lives, and being part of the healthcare journey for thousands. Those that know me know that, they see me as being strong, courageous, and healthy. But it wasn't always that way. My daughter was less than a year old, and we still lived at home with my parents and with my two younger siblings. And I was trying to finish my grade 12, my high school, and with all my might, trying everything not to have to apply for government assistance. It was a time when I was just so exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally. We have a tendency to burn the candle at both ends. Have you ever laid in bed and looked over at the clock and thought, oh my goodness, I've only got an hour left to sleep and I haven't slept and I don't know how I'm going to get through the rest of the day? Oh, the alarm went off and I need to get up. I need to shower, clothes, get dressed. Then I need to bathe Melanie, get her dressed, my daughter, get her a bottle. Then I need to put her in the umbrella stroller and balance the stroller by putting on one handle my books and my homework and on the other handle her diaper bag. And then I would race 7 to 8 blocks towards her babysitter that was en route to my school, my high school. And we did that from day in and day out throughout the week. On the way back, pick her up, get home. Thank goodness my dad always had our meals ready and we would sit down and have dinner together. But then an hour later, the cleaning company would come and pick me up so that I could go and clean offices in the evening. And then the next day, we'd do the same thing for all 5 days of the week. There was one day I was racing the 7 blocks. We're just racing down the street. And I'm faster and faster. Melanie's enjoying it. She's like, wee, faster, mommy. Mm-hmm. And I'm going faster and then click, click. Oh my goodness. I looked down. The wheel on the back right wheel of the umbrella stroller had broken, snapped right off. I picked up the bags that were on that side, put it on all the bags onto the side that was still good with the 3 wheels, and went on my way. Thank goodness I only had 1 or 2 blocks left, but I navigated and went the rest of the way. What I learned about that story is that staying in motion, perseverance, and just keeping in motion yields results. It was just amazing when I reflected and realized that the perseverance and the motion and consistency yields results. I also learned that it takes a village actually to raise a child and to raise children. All the resources that you need is important, including if you need government assistance. And I learned that self-care is vital because you cannot take care of your children or serve others if you're not taking care of yourself.
That's so true. I can so picture that. We'll be back in the moment. Just get right into all the self-care and how to do it. Attention mompreneurs. Do you feel like you're constantly juggling the responsibilities without a moment to yourself? It's time to pause and reflect with our Mama Genius quiz. Tailored for busy mamas like you, this quiz will help you identify what's blocking your path and inspire you to harness your unique strengths. Transform how you manage life and business, find your rhythm, and ignite your joy. Visit mamageniushub.com today to discover your Mama Genius. Again, that's mamageniushub.com. And we're back. Oh, I'm just so blown away by all the things that you had to juggle. And here you sit ready to dive into, let's put the oxygen mask on ourselves. And I want to just start directly with what we want, just to take a moment to breathe together, just like we did right before we start this podcast. I think the fundamental step to self-care is starting with knowing how to oxygenate your body. And you being a nurse and holistic practitioner, like, I think you are the key to get us started right away.
Okay. So yeah, so many, you know what, interestingly enough, many of us really don't know how to take a deep breath the way that it's the most efficient and beneficial to our bodies. You know, there was research done, there was 537 students in a college that they, you know, they researched that they were, even if they went out and took 20 minutes of fresh air breathing in, that it revitalized them and boost their vitality levels. So oxygenation and getting outside and taking big breaths is really key and important. What happens is when we're breathing, usually ordinarily, it's at a subconscious level. It's at the pons level of the brain, and it just happens subconsciously. You're not even realizing that you're breathing. We're not paying any attention to that. But when we get intentional about breathing, it now the autonomic nervous system kicks in, parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, and that's why you get that relaxation and that anxiety level calming effect that comes in from that nervous system kicking in. And so it's important I do the number, like many people do 4, 4, and 4, because you can remember to take a breath, count 4, like hold it for 4, and then expiry for 4. But what I do is to breathe in for 4. So you take a big breath, but you put your hands on your stomach. Then you know that you're breathing the correct way. Because as you take your breath in, you feel your stomach protruding out. Like a baby. Babies breathe actually the way that we're supposed to breathe. That we get lazy as we get older and we don't breathe the way we should anymore. So
breathe up here, breathe in our chest more.
That's right. We don't use the full capacity of our lungs. And so not getting as good as oxygenation as we could to our organs and our brain and our heart, right? So what happens is when you take that breath and you just put your hand on your tummy, then you'll know and take your breath and kind of imagine like if you're trying to make your breath go all the way to your toes, actually. And then you hold it for 7, count 7 when you're holding it, and imagine it going to all of your organs and nutrifying, giving all the nutrients of the oxygenation all over to all your organs and everywhere in your body, all your cells. And that's for the count of 7. Then on expiration, a count of 8. So it's a nice, slow, gradual expiration. And you'll find if you do 3 or 4 of those breaths in a day, and it doesn't take a lot of time, that it'll just calm you and relax you. And it's just, it's a really self-love and self-compassion, act of self-love and self-compassion and self-respect. Remember, when we left the embryo, the first thing that we had to do is take a breath, and then we take it for granted the rest of our lives.
So true. Well, can you lead us through a breath together? And if you're driving or listening to this, you don't need to do it, but just hearing that and knowing, a lot of us might have heard of box breathing, like you said, that the 4, 4, and 4. So here's an extension on that. And I love how you have us put our hands on our belly, because sometimes you think we're taking a deep breath, but if you feel your shoulders and your chest moving up and down, you're not getting deep enough. And so when you put your hands in your belly, you realize you're getting deep in. And I love the visualization. So keep in mind with the visualization that you're picturing that air coming in and circulating through your body. Really picture that as part of this, because the more we see what's happening inside our bodies, the more we have control and we're taking charge of what is actually happening. So lead us.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll do it now then. Okay, so we'll breathe in and we'll count to 4. So close your eyes and breathe in and count into, 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure your hands are on your tummy and you're feeling it protrude. Okay. And we're holding it for 7. You imagine it going through your lungs and through your heart, through your kidneys, your liver, your spleen, every cell, all your arms, your legs. Just imagine it flowing, taking nice, rich, oxygenated blood all over to nutrify your body. And just be in the moment. And if something comes into your head, just acknowledge it, but then let it go. So when you count to 7, then on expiration, we're counting to 8. So it's a nice slow and gradual expiration. So that as the oxygen, the blood is, and the breath is leaving your body to come out, then it's a nice slow, gradual experience.
I love that so much. I do it twice with you now, and I feel you can feel the difference when we sit in that moment for just even. I mean, this was less than a minute. I mean, just that calm sense that we can bring over that, and how much control we actually do have over that.
Yeah.
We're so worried about controlling what we can't control that we don't take charge of the things we do have control over.
Yes.
And your breathing.
A wonderful way to relieve stress and anxiety. And that parasympathetic just kicks right in, and it recognizes, oh, she's being kind to our body. That's awesome, and it kicks right in, and you're just instantly relaxed. And it's even in people that are having extreme anxiety, where they almost feel like they're having a heart attack, if they stop and do those breathings, it just calms them right down. Yeah,
I love that. Now I want to make sure that I touch on the points that you want to make from this. So I know you have points in rest, nutrition, there's all kinds of different ways you can get this, but what do you think is most vital for that busy mom who needs something to bring into self-care for themselves?
Okay, well, you know what, I'm really, it's really important. I want to drive that message home about the holistic approach. And, one of the things we have to be careful about is about the oxygen mask on first. It's sort of an urgent situation where, we get that analogy from the being on the plane. And so, it's an emergency, but we're talking about this holistic approach to self-care ongoing, that it becomes like a part of life for you, and to the point where it's like a culture to your family, that your children will watch and see that you're doing this, and they'll adapt the same behaviors as well, healthy behaviors. And so spirituality is really important. Like the foundation of spirituality was for me raising my daughter, that parental responsibility of having biblical laws, and for her to have the right ethics and morality and values and beliefs. It was crucial for me. My grandmother was a God-fearing woman, and she was with me when I had Melanie. Actually, after I had Melanie, she came and visited me from Antigua, and she's my late grandmother, and I'm wearing her hat actually today as we're speaking. But it's very important to have some spirituality, that something that grounds you, that that helps you find your purpose. And so it's different for some, like I know for the indigenous folks, they're like smudging and drumming is really important. Some may do mindfulness, like meditation. There's different ways of spirituality, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but definitely it was important foundation for me and raising my daughter. Also, I would think just knowing those key foundational things about, like, the golden rule. I like that one, with golden rule, where you do unto others as you want them to do to you. So you're treating others with respect and kindness. Really
big one in my house.
Yes, and your own body and yourself, exactly, self-respect as well, for sure.
And I love that too with the kids, when you remind them, I'm like, it's not how you want them, like, you to be treated because of what happened. It's like, how do you want to be treated no matter what? And that's always the thing, because when like one of them snaps, they're like, well, they snapped at me first, so I just reacted to that. I'm
right.
Like, that's not what it is. It's how do you want to be treated? That's what you put out there.
Yeah.
No matter what other people do, you have no control. Again, back to the idea of control. We have no control over that. We only have control over what we put out.
Yes. And just to remember, like what I said about your developing a culture within your family, which is really important, like the values and beliefs of your family. I had no idea, on reflection, I realized that I didn't have any idea that my response, not reaction, but response to that wheel breaking off on that stroller, that planted the seed for my daughter to gain those characteristics of having grit and resiliency and perseverance. And she has those characteristics. And I love those characteristics about her. But like you're your children's mentor, you're the first mentors that they have. And so you're not, you don't realize how significant and important it is how you're take care of yourself and how you respond, and how you build relationships. All those things matter for raising your children.
I love that you brought up that reminder, and also leads me back to the idea of like we are the role models for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and honestly, they don't care what we say. They care what we do. And so it's them seeing you do these steps that then they start to mimic when they start to see that they hold value. Otherwise, I see a lot of times it's kind of that hypocritical idea of like, oh, do what I say, but that's not what I do. And there's that disconnect, I feel, between that. But when we just start living in ourselves and showing our own genius, showing all these things of who we are, inspiring them to figure out who it is with them and making their choices, because we're not always there around them.
Right.
And they're at some point going to be having to make their own decisions. And how do you want them to be modeling for themselves or for others?
Yeah. So the G in your genius will helping your child find their genius. That's what it reminded me of. Like, when my response to that wheel falling off, Melly has that, it helped her to understand that genius, but that just overcoming and just following through and just being consistent, and having perseverance and grit and resiliency. So yes, it's building those characteristics that will help you find your genius for sure.
We're running out of time a little bit, so I want to kind of ask. So, in terms of like this holistic approach, I love how you're describing this. What would you say could be a first step to a mom wanting to bring this into their family? What would be their first step to take after listening to this?
So what you mentioned about the diet, exercise, and those things are important, and they're things that you can incorporate in your everyday living that it's just changing or transforming habits. So baby steps, right? It's the consistency part that's important. So one of the things that I found was helpful, when I was speaking to moms and parents about their children, is about the amount of sugar content that they take in. So to avoid sugary drinks, right? So I have a sweet tooth, and it's like I love my desserts, but I'd rather eat my dessert than drink my dessert. So I had no trouble saying, okay, you know what, I'm not going to drink pop because I prefer a piece of cake, right? But like, it's these baby steps that you do, that the consistency. Your children, they'll, I actually had children that would visit me for the immunization, and they would like, I said, how much water did you drink? What does your sippy cup look like? And how much water? And they loved water. So it actually works. The minute you introduce pop, then, and the parents tend to do that with, or if it's a special occasion. And I guess that's, but it's really important to most of the time to avoid as much sugar as possible.
My kids to this day really don't drink soda. My oldest is 14, and they've never really drank soda. And I mean, when we go out, they'll have like the iced tea or like when we're doing drive-throughs. But at home, we never really brought that in. I'm the only one who every once in a while drinks soda, but not even that often anymore. But it's kind of funny. It is once you start to introduce it. It is hard though. I mean, when they're with a friend and they want to do some of that stuff, and they'll explore a little bit, but it comes down to the things you do in the house and the habits that you create inside.
I did endure some significant trauma when I was 13 years old. And so I do find that I have to go back sometimes and speak to that 13-year-old Andrea and let her know, it wasn't your fault. You are amazing. You're resilient. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I adore you. And I'm glad to have you come along with me. And I will not leave you back there bleeding like an open wound. Bleeding back there, because then that's a part of the healing too, right? That's the sort of the emotional aspect and mental health as well of your healing, that you acknowledge that any kind of trauma that you've experienced, and give yourself that grace and that love that you need. Is so important. I feel that another really key important thing is connectivity So important. If you just imagine doing a 20K run, and you're running and you're saying, I've got this, I'm gonna do this, and you're doing this 20K run, and you're it would feel like you're doing it for, it will take forever, it will take every part of you, it would be, just onerous, like it would just be hard. But do it with a bunch of other people, and it's like it seems that much more. When speaking about connectivity, when we were on our exercise group in the mornings, and we do our exercise together, that connectivity helps you to show up, right, and to be accountable, and to continue with that consistency that's needed. And it's powerful. I know that, my friend Sandy, when she says the words, let's do this, it's like, it's okay. I'm starting to feel tired, but when she says that, it's like, okay, yeah, we're in this together. It gives you that extra.
She would be 76.
Encouragement. Speaking about my friend Sandy, she sent me a message, and it was so powerful. And this is where connectivity is important, because, you're not alone, and you can uplift each other, and iron sharpens iron, right? So, like I was telling you about, when that 13-year-old Andrea that I go and I visit and speak to her and show her love and compassion, and I would say, I'm going to bring you along with me. Well, Sandy sent me a message last week, and it was along the lines of, finding my full voice and empowering my self-confidence and living a life of fulfillment, and that it was my birthright. And it just was so impactful, because I then realized that's the piece that's missing, that I need to tell Andrea. I will bring you along with me, so that we'll find our full voice.
And here you are going live.
Our self-confidence, and that we can find full fulfillment in our life, and that is our birthright.
And connectivity, we'll be right back. Do you ever feel like your own dreams are fading on you as you focus and keep everything together for your family, or been buried under laundry and school runs and endless to-do lists? They're so deep, you don't even know what they are anymore. The Mama Genius Hub is here to help you uncover that part of you again. Maybe you felt that pull to start a passion project, return to a hobby you once loved, or pursue a career that lights you up, but you're so caught in everyone else's needs that you keep slipping through the cracks. In just 15 minutes a day, our mini courses will help you reconnect with those dreams while finding a new rhythm in motherhood's beautiful, messy life. And best of all, you'll be doing it with a community of moms who truly understand the juggle and the joy. The Mama Genius Hub is a community who've been there and are here to support and inspire each other every step of the way. It's time to rediscover your spark, live in your genius, and inspire your kids by showing them how to follow their own passions. Join the Mama Genius Hub today and start creating space for you again without guilt or doing it solo.
Come to www.connectingmamas.com for more details.
I wish we could keep going on, but we have to almost time to wrap it up. So Our final question for you today is, what is a common misconception about motherhood that you think holds many moms back from really stepping into their genius?
Okay. So first, I just want to say one more thing about the connectivity. Is the oxytocin hormone, the feel-good hormones that get released when you have that connectivity, and relationships really important. And it's at the brain level that it helps. So it helps with your healing as well. And the question you said was a misconception. For me, a powerful one that I can think of is when you think that you have to wait till you've raised your children before you can live out your purpose or follow your dreams. This is huge, because I know that my daughter got more out of watching me go after my purpose and my dreams, that was more impactful to her, watching and seeing my behavior, than anything else. And I did not want to have her hear me say things like, oh, if I had the opportunity, because your children hear you. They see between the lines. If you're not happy, if you're not living your purpose, you're saying things that they might even feel that it's their fault. And I was not going to let that happen. So I followed my dream and my purpose. And I know that it impacted her greatly, because she does the same thing.
I love that. And I like to always say that when I started my journey, I kept thinking, what am I going to take away from my family? But I never asked the question, what am I going to give my family?
Right. It's your legacy and it's your culture within your family. So once you're doing those, like it's little steps, you don't have to do anything big steps. But what's important too is that when you understand what your purpose is that every decision that you make is in alignment with that. It actually helps you to create healthy boundaries because you'll choose what the decisions you make will be based on that. You'll be focused on that, and that you'll yield great results from that.
Tell everyone how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, okay. So I can I've got Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
And the links are in the chat right now. And so you can go ahead and connect with Andrea. And I'm going to put Andrea backstage for just a moment as we go through the 5 takeaways from today. I'm so excited. There's so much goodness in this, and my notes are just running wild today. So we got takeaway number 1, where she was just talking about how self-care is not a selfish act. It's necessary for perseverance, for self-compassion, for self-love, and self-respect. We need to show up for ourselves mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That takes us into takeaway number 2. We just went in and we took some of those deep breaths together, making sure that you're doing it throughout the day. I love how she took us to the 4, 7, and 8, a little bit different than the box breathing, but really we're taking that 4 and putting your hand on your belly as you're doing to make sure you're protruding your breath out, but also picturing the air going through your body as you're doing it, oxygenating your body. 2 steps that add even more to making sure that happens. Really helps bring that calmness out of you. That takes away us in takeaway number 3, where she's talking about it's a holistic approach to self-care, that making it part of your life, really developing that culture also in your family, putting those ideas of spirituality, ethics, values, and beliefs all into that as well. And looking for that spirituality as well as figuring out where to start for you, whether it's drumming, meditation, following the golden rule, figure out what does that mean for you, for your family, and really making that consistent move. Which then takes us into number 4, which is those small baby steps, right? Transforming habits consistently start with 1 step at a time. So it could start with that first decision of how do I bring more spirituality into my home, or how to take some sugar out of the house, right? She talked about removing soda from the action, or the juices, or those things that we don't need to necessarily drink, but having more water in our life. So I love how she wrote, she likes to eat her desserts instead of drinking them. So just things to think about as we just make those perspective shifts on what is going to work for you and your family. Again, take the things that feed into your intuition that move you forward. And then that brings us into number 5 is that connectivity piece. First, the connectivity to your younger self, where you're giving yourself grace and talking to that younger self that might have gone through trauma, might have been told no, might have been told things that stopped you from thinking you could do it now. Give that younger self some grace, but then also the connectivity to adding the oxytocin as you do things as a community. Finding, as we're in an exercise group together in the morning, finding stuff that you do in community to move yourself forward, giving that accountability and to make it more fun, which then gives us back to, why don't you come join us in the Mama Genius Hub where we can do motherhood together? So Andrea, let's bring you back for your final takeaway for today.
It's important to understand that you can be the CEO of your health, and so that you take control of your outcome, your health. It's your journey. It's your story to write. There's some things like social determinants of health. You'll hear this kind of talk where they talk about health is impacted by education, your occupation, your gender, your ethnicity, and your race. And this is a social construct to say that you're impacted by discrimination and oppression based on your those things. And also, to be more comprehensive, there's the intersectionality, where it's an overlap of the different things. So for my intersectionality would be being a Black female and single mom, right? But those things, definitely the healthcare systems and organizations should be aware of, because it's their job to make sure that they can reach the masses and reach marginalized populations to make sure that they get the healthcare that they deserve. Definitely. But for you as an individual, you can make a difference and impact your life by being CEO and taking good health, good care of yourself holistically, because it's all interconnected, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, because you deserve it and you matter. And you'll be able to pour out and show up your best self for your children and for all who you're connected with.
Oh, I love that so much. And I also loved how you were talking the word control in there, as well as I forgot to mention that in my takeaways. But remember the things that we do have control over. We have control over our breath. We have control over our visualization. Start by taking control of the habits and things that you do instead of worrying about the things that you don't have control over, and see where it takes you. And we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you, Andrea, so much for joining us today. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's episode of the Mama Genius Hub podcast. If you found value in our conversation, please share this episode with another mama who might benefit. Sharing helps us build a supportive community and reach out to more mamas like you. After all, it's more fun when we do motherhood together. Until next time, stay motivated and continue to pursue your dreams as you shine in your genius.